Welcome, everyone, to Dial the Gate. My name is David Reed. Thank you so much for joining us for this very special episode. Hope you had a wonderful holiday. We are bringing in a number of my friends, the Stargate Superfans. When Kieran Dixon, Jenny Stiven, Beth Willock, and I were at MGM, we brought together a group of wonderful people to help us move forward with the franchise in terms of getting some more specific fan feedback for where we wanted the show to go. MGM ultimately went in a different direction, and the annual Stargate Superfan project became one group of fans. We were going to have a new iteration of them every year, but that group has decided to stick together, and we're going to have the majority of them on in the next few minutes here. So what's going to happen for this episode is this is a pre-recorded show. I'm going to have them on to ask them about how they got invested in the show, what some of their favorite memories are. I'm not centered. What some of their favorite memories are while they were working together as a team of superfans, and some of their favorite specific episodes and why. And some of these answers you're going to find pretty poignant. So after we have that, we're going to show you some Stargate art in a little bit of relation to what we just talked about in the group. And then we'll let you go. But before we really get started here, if you like Stargate and want to see more content like this on YouTube, it would mean a great deal if you click that like button. It makes a difference with YouTube's algorithm, will definitely help the show grow its audience. Please also consider sharing this video with a Stargate friend, and if you want to get notified about future episodes, click the subscribe icon. Giving the bell icon a click will notify you the moment a new video drops, and you'll get my notifications of any last-minute guest changes. This is key if you plan on watching live, because these talent are working and schedules change all the time. And clips from this live stream will be released over the course of the next several days on both the Dial the Gate and GateWorld.net YouTube channels. All right, with that out of the way, let's bring in the Stargate Superfan panel.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
Hello. Welcome to a special episode of Dial the Gate. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Excited to be here.
You what now?
Excited to be here.
Oh, it's great to have you. So you guys, this is like another arm of my Stargate family. So back in the day, when Kieran and Jenny and Beth and I were at MGM, we built you into this community. And the original idea was, let's create a panel of folks that have a true investment in the franchise to help us go forward and give us feedback and paving the way for future endeavors. MGM went a different direction. We were going to have new superfans every year, but you guys ended up being the ones, the onlys, and the best. So
that's right. That's right.
Very happy to have you in my life.
We will never be beaten.
Out of this group here, I have Sommer Roy to my top left. She is my basically one of my de facto producers in Dial the Gate, and she is one of my moderators as well. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm recovering from a recent procedure, but I'm doing great.
Well, I'm glad to have you with us. And so how did you discover Stargate? What got you involved?
Oh my gosh. I used to watch it. It came on every Sunday. So I didn't get to watch them in order or anything like that. But when I was starting college, my dad and I would watch it on Sundays. And I loved it. When I discovered it, it was just like, what is the show? I need to watch it. But back then we didn't have like cable, so you couldn't binge watch it or anything like that. I lived out in the country, and so I just every Sunday I would be glued to my screen, and sometimes they would have specials where they would show more than one, and that was a great day. But when I met my husband, he also very much loved the show. He lived in Canada, so it was very popular there. And gosh, it just became something I really enjoyed. I could get into it. The science was fairly accurate. They try really hard to make it real. It's not just a lot of gobbledygook words, and gosh, the humor, the sense of family in the show, it just an adventure. It just had everything.
I'm always amazed at the number of hello, Sonia. Welcome to the show.
Thank
Sonia
you.
Belenkoff, everybody. I'm always amazed by the number of people who I encounter who are like, that one was, if there were any of the sci-fis that I would think were really grounded in as realistic sci-fi as possible, Stargate would probably be at the top of the list.
Mhm.
I think that they really did make it, and I think part of it has the advantage of it's in the here and now, so it's here and now's technology.
Mhm.
But I think there's something to be said for this particular franchise really going out of its way to make sure, and not every episode is always that, but that is they're trying to make it as realistic a portrayal of the Air Force and of our current society and of the science as best as they can, given the constraints of whatever story they're trying to tell.
Exactly. And, as somebody who loves to learn different things, I really enjoyed hearing about the Egyptian history and things like that they meshed to fit the context of the show. But a lot of that, base mythology is solid and true. So it was just really interesting to me. And I recently found out that I have an Egyptian background, so it's really a lot more special to me now because I was always drawn to that part of the show.
Wow! Did you do the heritage DNA test?
I did. There was some unknown stuff in there too, and I really think that's the furling right there. But
Sommer is a bit furling obsessed.
Yes.
Well, I really appreciate having you on my team, and thanks for coming back to share some thoughts and some memories with us. I'm going to come back to you in a minute, okay?
Okay.
Hello, Germany. Nicole Seisel. Hello, how are you?
Hi, great.
So, what's been going on with Stargate Project, and how did you fall in love with the franchise?
Yeah, we've been doing really good lately. So there's lots of interest. There's lots of new interest. There's many fans coming back, and that's really cool to see. And yeah, my mom got me into Stargate, so she hates when I say that, but it's true.
Why?
I don't know.
We are in the era of nerd, so
Yeah, but yeah, she watched it, and at some point I just joined, and yeah, that's it.
What keeps you coming back? Why do you keep watching the show? It's been off the air for 10 years. What the heck are you doing?
Yeah, like the mythology, and there are so many episodes. You go back and still discover things. So there's all those small little things embedded in the episodes that you discover once you go back. And there's also, I think there are so many episodes that you can watch them back to back because it's a certain character involved. And so I like watching it on DVD because you can skip certain episodes and complete a character arc, for example, or something. Yeah. Mythology and so on.
It kind of, considering that they did 360 some odd episodes, it always blows me away how consistent they are, especially in the later seasons on the earlier mythology. I mean, some of the characters may flub a planet's address or something like that, but generally speaking, they're pretty tight on their own internal mythology.
Yep.
Miss Marcia Middleton, How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you. Good to see you, everybody.
Marcia, how'd you fall in love with the franchise?
Oh my goodness, you got an hour? Well, as you know, I watched the movie from the beginning. I went to the theater, sat in the middle, and I've always been interested in Egyptology and that kind of thing. And so the movie itself intrigued me. And when the screen started and David Arnold's music came up, and I was fully immersed in the world that Roland and Dean created. And I watched the movie quite a few times, and it became part of you know what happens when you love something, it becomes part of your DNA sort of. And never suspecting or even thinking that it would become a series. I watched Stargate. I started to collect things from Stargate, the movie, and there wasn't that much to collect, so you can really do it if you want to. And when they announced the series, I thought, okay, who's doing this series? Richard Dean Anderson, who I liked from General Hospital because he used to be on that soap, and of course MacGyver and all that kind of stuff. And I said, okay, it's on where? It's on Showtime. That means that you have to pay money. Okay, I'm gonna have to invest in this. So I sat down and I set the stage. Okay, and the very first episode came up, and I liked the way they bridged from the movie to the series. They knew they had to tweak certain things and change things, yet the music was there, the atmosphere was there, and then there was the new too. So that bridged and it opened up another whole universe of Stargate stories. And the cast was, they gelled very quickly. Of course, Don S. Davis and just so many. They became a joy to watch, and every week it became one of my things to do. And over the years, I've become involved deeply in Stargate and have really enriched and been enriched by the series.
I don't think we often appreciate just how successful Children of the Gods is as a Stargate 2. You know, it really achieves what someone look at as being a pretty daunting task from the feature film, because the feature film is so broad in scope, but it really had that hook. And Children of the Gods is what I saw first, and then I saw Stargate the next day. And it's a compelling 2 hours of television for sure. And it's
so you
really
watched
successfully.
Children of the Gods first and then watched Stargate the movie.
Yeah, I was expecting either The Outer Limits or Poltergeist: The Legacy on Saturday night on ABC. It was syndicated, and one had aired. I can't remember which. And then this 2 hour thing came on, and I watched it. And then the next day, NBC was airing Stargate, the feature film, as its Sunday night movie. So I think it was just fate.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing.
Absolutely.
Nicole Rodriguez Galdo. Hello.
Oh no, hello.
How you doing?
I'm all right. How are you?
I'm doing okay. Tell us a little bit about your Stargate story.
Oh, I talk about it so much that I don't know. It's like it's just burned into my memory now, and it's just I don't know if it's interesting anymore. So I was like 5 years old, bored, and my dad had like forced me to watch an episode of Stargate somewhere in the middle, and I was like, I have no idea what's going on. I just want to remind everyone I was born in 1998, so when I was 4, that was like around season 4 of Stargate. So I was very young. And then after my dad force fed me Stargate, he left, and I was like, well, he left his DVDs here, so I'm just gonna have to watch them when he's not around. So I stole them. I watched them, and I watched like most of season 1. There was no Children of the Gods because he had the individual DVDs from the magazines, and there was no movie for me. So I literally picked up like season 1 and then seasons 4 and 5, and then that was how I watched it. So I had to like figure out what happened between from the recaps where they were like previously on Stargate SG-1, and I was like, I have no idea what that is, but I'm gonna assume what it is. So yeah, it came out of a desire to kind of bond with my dad a bit more and kind of just be into similar stuff. So when we hung out, we had something that we could share. And I was like, if I watch this, my dad will watch it with me. We'll have a great time. And yeah, I mean, it's as a kid growing up, I feel like it taught me a lot of life lessons. It made me somewhat more intelligent at the time for a 5-year-old, I like to think. So yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. I've been obsessed with it the whole time. And then when this opportunity came up to be a super fan, I was sitting there like, oh my God, I missed out on all the Stargate stuff as a kid because I was born during season 1 of SG-1. And I was like, this is my time to catch up and be part of the community. So yeah.
Is Stargate and a love of the franchise something that you and your dad still share?
Yeah, my dad, now that I'm an adult and I can buy stuff, I bought him all of Atlantis on Blu-ray and then all of SG-1 on DVD because that's kind of what we did growing up. My dad would buy me things that like I couldn't afford, but not himself, and then he'd just steal my stuff. So then after I stole his stuff, so now that I'm an adult, I was like, stop stealing my stuff. Here you go. I still have his Stargate DVDs that I stole when I was a kid. Don't tell him. I hope he doesn't watch this.
Thank you for sharing. We're going to come back to everybody just in a minute to discuss individual favorite episode memories. But Mr. William Murphy.
Hey there. How you doing, sir?
I'm well, man. How are you?
I'm doing great. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. It's been too long.
I know it has. How is life at the nuclear power plant?
Oh, life at the plant is fine. Been chugging along and keeping our heads above water like everyone else in these zany times. But yeah, going just fine. Yep.
So what got you into the show?
Well, it's not as I guess family endearing or exciting as others, but I saw the film in the theater. I remember that vividly. I mean, I was quite young, not quite as young as Nicole, but young enough. Thought it was a great movie. Figured as a one-off. As far as the storyline, it was great. It was cool. And I grew up in rural Georgia, so not in definitely the internet's infancy. So not a lot of chatter about what's coming out or what is and isn't. Certainly had no idea what's on Showtime and what's not. But quite literally, I was up late on a Saturday night studying in high school. Like I was working on a project or something. I had this 9-inch black and white TV that I got for $5 at a garage sale. And we didn't have cable even at the time. So as it happened, my room or maybe that like 50-foot stretch of brass wire I bought at a Radio Shack that I had hooked up to this TV as an antenna wrapped around the ceiling of my room helped. But I was the only TV in the house that had decent reception of a certain CBS affiliate in Atlanta. But at 11:35 on a Saturday night is apparently when Stargate SG-1 aired on syndication, and it was some intermediate episode in season 1 that I'm going to talk about as one of my favorites. So I won't say which yet, but I was like, whoa, is this that's Stargate, like from the movie. And like on my grainy black and white TV, I watched this episode and it was great. And so I made a point to keep watching it. Obviously midway through season 1, kind of, interpolated on who's who from the film. And then it kept going. And then, once I got to college, I had cable, and boy, was that a change seeing them in color. And on TV, this TV screen larger than 9 inches, and then it kind of went from there. Got hooked on it in college. This had been in 2001. The Sci-Fi Mondays, where they put the four shows episodes back to back on Mondays on Sci-Fi Channel, got me caught up real fast, and just loved the heck out of it.
You're one of the more analytical ones among us, as already just established with your job. How truthful was it? Do you think to, or how truthful do you think it tried to be to real world science?
Well, I think you said it best earlier, talking to Sommer. I think when the realism helps by having a science fiction program set in the present time, and so more of the fantastical elements, are somewhat grounded by necessity. I think overall they did a very good job. they made a point throughout the entire run of the show. You know, all three franchises have some very, very strong science consultants to make sure that that they stayed as true as possible. I mean, given, you know, you gotta take some leaps. It's science fiction after all. You know, superconducting devices that create stable wormholes and hyperspace generators and, you know, little Mr. Fusion, you know, Naquita reactors and stuff like that. But overall, you know, the technobabble was solid, you know, especially, you know, in my background with nuclear, you know, discussions about, you know, how neutrinos worked with the crystal skull aliens and discussions we talked about before, you know, Daniel Jackson's radiation exposure in Meridian and how that was based on an actual real life event that occurred in the 40s, with actually kind of two of them with what are called criticality accidents that are very tragic. So yeah, I think they were very respectful to science, and that's obviously something that kept me engaged throughout the entire run of the franchise.
That's awesome, man. And that, you know, it grew, it just helped grow your I'm sure your interest in your field.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, definitely helped sustain it through some frustrating nights of why the heck am I doing this? I should have just gone and been a weatherman or something like that.
Absolutely. Hello, Australia. Yvie Cahill, you are muted.
Hello, I'm down under.
How are things down under? How you doing?
Unpleasant and hot, but it's okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it's your summer. That's right.
I know it's like a few days into summer now, so it's going to be like the it's going to be like the planet Natu quite soon.
Oh my God. Great reference. How'd you fall in love with the franchise?
Oh, okay. So I actually came in quite late to the franchise. I started watching, I think, about 2013. So I think much of the show was done by then. I was introduced to it by my then boyfriend, who's now my husband. He actually came from a Stargate family, and he wanted to do a rewatch. He hadn't seen it since I think it had aired. So he sat me down and we started watching it, and it took me a couple of episodes to warm up. But by probably about midway through the first season, I was just totally hooked.
Oh, that's G1. So you started you at the front?
Yeah, I started with the movie, of course, and then went into SG1. Had to watch it chronologically. And I think it was just sort of those like key universal themes that really got me in. You know, the really likable characters, you know, like the teamwork, loyalty, perseverance, things like that, just really got me hooked. Also, I developed a bit of an obsession with Sam and Jack, and I became a bit of a Sam and Jack shipper. And I guess the lack of official proof by the end of the 8th season got me interested in reading a lot of fan fiction, and from there writing my own fan fiction. So I guess that's where I would like sit with the franchise.
Do you know about the deleted scene from Trio?
Of course I know about the deleted scene from Trio. When I need a boost, I watch it quite frequently. Oh. This is how sad my life is.
Well, for those out there who are wondering, what happens in that scene?
So Kala and Carter are talking about how she has a relationship with someone a little bit older than her in Washington, and they're waiting for him to retire. So, you know, big flash neon sign, Jack, 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 Jack.
Absolutely. So we're going to go from Australia to France. BraZat, hello.
Yes. Hello.
Nice beard, man.
Thanks. Containment, COVID. I don't have time to. The barbers are closed, so.
Yes, understood. Absolutely. Yeah, I have to do a little self work here about once a week, so I totally get it. How did I love your sporting the Stargate Superfan shirt? Can you show that off?
Yeah.
No, can you show it like a little bit more?
Yeah, sure.
There we go. Fantastic. So how did you fall in love with the franchise?
So it's a quite particular story. So I grew up in a family where to watch TV was by far the least performed activity. In fact, with my brothers and sisters, we were mostly at the music school. So TV, just for movies with parents, some time, but no more. And so it was a Saturday evening at the end of 2005. Yes, quite late. I was zapping on TV channels in secret so that my parents don't know. Then it appears on an episode of Stargate. At this time, I still didn't know anything about Stargate, even its existence. Nothing. It was the episode about the grace of God. And I thought to myself when I found out the episode, oh, this movie looks so cool. It's sci-fi. The story is set on Earth. And as you said before, it's on your time, accurate, realistic. So I liked this immersive side of the show. Yes, I just said movie because I never watched a TV series before that day. Just imagine, I didn't know what a series was before Stargate. And then I decided to buy the complete series on DVD. After receiving them, I literally did, I don't know if we can say in English, devoured the series. Just watch. I watch a DVD per night, approximately 1 or 2 DVD per night. Well,
Jeez, man, that's
yes,
a lot.
four episodes at once per night. In the morning, that I slept during the high school classes. Imagine. BraZat, yes.
Well, at least you got your priorities straight.
Yes.
Tell me about
Yes.
Tell me about what's behind you. Are these replicas, or I don't think the Homeworld command flag was a.
No. The fact is, the SGC is a screen accurate replica. I think one of the only on worldwide. I don't know where is the original is. Probably sold to someone. So I use this during conventions, events with my costume group to make pictures with people, with fans, just to have a shooting set, in fact, for people. And the Stargate, the Homeworld command, it's come from Universe. There is a big logo in the wall and the series in the O'Neill desk room.
Yeah, the Pentagon
office.
Yeah,
I
sold it at PropWorks. I don't know who got it, but
no, it's a Stitch. Love to get it.
There's my answer.
So I just decided to make a flag. I suppose that if Universe still continue, it could have a flag this one. So it's a perfect replica of the logo, but in the flag.
I suspect if we saw more of O'Neill's section of the Pentagon, we would have seen something like it. So very cool, man. Well, thanks for coming.
Thanks.
Sonia Melenkoff of
That's
Nerdy
me.
Novelty Design.
Hi.
How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm sorry I was a little bit late.
No, just glad you're here for the party.
It's very early.
So before we get into a little bit of your business, tell us how you fell in love with the franchise.
So I watched the movie when I was 10. I saw it in theaters, and I remember liking it. Like it was fun. It was a sci-fi movie. It was great. And then I kind of like forgot about it because I was 10. And I didn't watch the show when it first came out. I actually started watching it in 2003. I was at a college party, and you know what people do at college parties? They watch sci-fi shows, right? Yeah, obviously. So they put on the movie there, and I was like, oh yeah, I like this movie. It's fun because I like sci-fi. I like any sci-fi. And they're like, okay, now we're gonna watch this TV show based on the movie. I was like, what? Like I was aware that it existed, but I had never like watched it. We watched Children of the Gods, and I was like, this is really good. And my friend's like, oh well, I have the DVDs if you want to borrow them. So I did, and I basically binged watched it instead of like doing homework, which it was fine. My grades were fine, but I didn't know what binge watching was, but I think I got up to it was 2003, so it was up to like season like 6 or 7, I think, and then I just started watching it on Sci-Fi, and I was hooked.
And how did this grow into a passion that you were able to monetize? As many inquiring minds would like to know. So,
for people that don't know, I own an oven mitt business. I don't actually have any with me right now because I didn't think to bring it on here. But I make my own dresses like this. This is like a sci-fi dress. And people asked me to make them dresses. And it's hard to make clothes for other people because like even two people the same size can have completely different bodies. So I was like, well, what can I make that fits everybody? So I made an oven mitt, posted it online, got like a huge reaction. And now I make oven mitts. Actually, one of them is Stargate, but it's hand drawn by, well, I have an artist who worked on it. So it's like I'm supporting independent artists. I have a whole bunch of nerdy sci-fi fandoms. And so I just turned my own nerdiness into an oven mitt business. That's random, I know. Also, I have a degree in physical anthropology, which totally helps me sell oven mitts. But a lot of the like Daniel Jackson stuff, like his background was really interesting to me. I actually did go on some digs, and it was kind of cool seeing like a character that I was like, oh, well, that's not how you do it, but that's still fun. Shows like that don't really let science get in the way of a good story,
It's a tricky balance.
Yeah.
I mean, you could spend the entire time of 44 minutes filling in the detail and minutia of why something is done the way it's done or why they made the choices to make it the way that it was. And that's often what Carter's business was, to explain it so that we could then hang a lantern on it and move on. But you're right.
That's a term. Sorry, I'm kidding.
I know, I dropped it. I figured someone recognized it. But yeah, no, it's a tricky balance, and I think all of us would agree that Stargate did a pretty good job at walking that tightrope.
Oh yeah.
I would like to open the next question to the floor. Any specific, and feel free to unmute. Any specific memories that you guys have had on this journey as superfans that you would like to share with one another and with our viewing audience, since you guys got this whole thing started? So, Yvie, you unmuted first. I'm gonna go with you, and then Nicole.
Okay. I actually have one that I share with Nicole, so she might
Yes.
want to butt in. So I actually went over to the UK to go to Kalmar in Telford with Nicole, and we actually shared a house with Alexis Cruz.
He's a friend of mine.
Yeah, he's a
wonderful human being.
Dad. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so had a bit of a sort of an interesting, I guess, sighting. So when we're in the hotel in Telford, we were about to go out to go eat something, and we passed Peter Williams on the way through, and and Alexis runs up to him and goes, "Daddy!" gives him a huge hug.
Yeah, and Peter's like,
And then
"Son,"
Peter goes,
and he
"My
leaps.
son!"
We were trying to go get
And like,
lunch.
just Nicole and I
like-
just looked at each other and just like, that is just perfect.
The fact that for some of them, they I mean, not all the actors can be reasonably relied on to do this, and you can't blame them because there were so many shows. But for some of them, they were fans of the show and they watched it,
Yeah.
So little things like that are absolutely gems. So
It was a beautiful, beautiful scene.
anyone else have moments from over the course of this this time together? Sommer, you unmuted first, then I'm going to go to Marcia.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I had really never been to a convention ever. And when I found out that I was chosen, I was like, oh my gosh. And it was only like a week or so later, we were in California, and it was a very unique experience for me because I've never been to anything like it. I've always wanted to go, but I have a lot of medical stuff that prevents me from travel. Um, but it was great to meet all of these guys because they were from everywhere, but we had so much in common because we shared this, love of Stargate, and it was just really cool. And then I went to Chicago, and my favorite moment from there is when I met Braytech. Braytech.
Tony
The name.
Amendola.
Yes, Amendola. And Jenny, a friend of ours, was standing around, and he recognized her. And I was in my wheelchair, and all of a sudden he came up behind me, and Jenny was in front of me, and he hugged Jenny, and I look up, and there's Bryce. And I'm like, oh, no way. and that was just the funniest meeting. And then I was able to talk to him later, and you know how he goes, he always tells Don Davis, Hammond from Texas. And yes, and so since I'm from Texas, I said, I'm Sommer from Texas, and so that was like my favorite thing. I had always dreamed about doing that, and so it was so cool to be able to do that.
I was so blown away with your creativity. You had made these little I don't remember if it was keychains specifically, but like little just thank yous, little physical thank yous for so many of these cast and crew. And I was lucky enough to get one. Did Stargate help fuel your creativity?
Oh gosh, yes. I'm always thinking, I have a little bit of jewelry that I make and Stargate stuff, and I'm always trying to think of ways, how can I incorporate Stargate into my work, but it does definitely, because I'm so passionate about Stargate and I'm passionate about sculpting and creativity. So it definitely comes together. I made a pin set that I want to start making those a lot more, but it's the staff weapons. I made pins that are staff weapons. And so I really enjoyed that. And I definitely want to make more of those because those are really cool. But yeah.
You take the front end of it off and start writing with it? Is that how that works?
It's actually open at the end, and you can write with it. Yeah, it's pretty neat. So I just got the idea. I'm like, a pin, hey, I can make that into a staff weapon. And so I made this little box. I had 2 sets of them sitting on one set of pins sitting on this golden Egyptian box, and they actually sold it at auction in Chicago. So it was really great to be able to donate to that.
That's really cool. Well, the next time you make another one, let me know.
Okay.
So, and let me know how much it will cost, because I would love a staff weapon pen.
All right.
Marcia, you raised your hand.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Well, as most of you know, I've been involved in fandom for a long time as a staff member at conventions. And one of the things I love to do is to bring fans together, creating programming, bringing nurturing talents and bringing fans and stars together to create magic is something that I love to do. Well, I worked at staff for DragonCon for many years, and started to try to bring in Stargate, more Stargate guests, more Stargate programming. And we'd heard about this convention in California called San Diego Comic-Con. And although I had never
just a small one,
just a little one, and DragonCon itself is pretty large, it's about maybe 80,000, but they told me this is even bigger. I said, really? So we decided to take the trek across to San Diego and go to Comic-Con one year just to see what it was like. Well, it just so happened that at that time I was also granted the directorship for the new Stargate track. So we created a new Stargate track at DragonCon. And so I said, okay, well, flying across the country, maybe I'll meet some, Stargate actors and have some fun. Well, I was looking in the program guide, and then it was all printed, not like now it's all. So I'm looking through and I'm going on like, is that Dean Devlin? Dean Devlin was going to be at Comic-Con promoting Flyboys, the movie that maybe you haven't seen, but it's not that bad. But I said, oh my gosh, the creator is going to be there. That is going to be my first, that's what I'm going to go see. If I don't do anything else, I'm going to go see that panel. So that was my very first panel, 12 noon on Friday. I went to see Dean Devlin's panel, Flyboys. So, afterwards, sometimes you get a chance to ask a question. So thankfully, I was able to ask him the question about the Stargate trilogy and how he felt about Stargate becoming a franchise. And so he kind of spoke about that for one of the first times, getting out his feelings about how he felt. And so after that, the panel was over. I walked up to him and I told him what I was doing at DragonCon, new Stargate panel. And I asked him if he would do something. And he said, sure. Because as you know, Dean Devlin is a fan person. He gets us. He gets us.
He's a huge sci-fi nerd.
Yes. So he said, sure. So we chatted and got together later. And he ended up doing a video just for us to show at DragonCon, and it's still up on YouTube if you want to see it. He's got he set it up in the corner, I think, of his living room, and did a little minute or so about how he was, he loved fandom and wishes he could be there. So that is one of my favorite moments from the beginning of my Stargate journey, and then it's just taken off from there. Just being able to do panels with and bring Stargate all over to a lot of people who otherwise would not be able to get together and not even know that fandom existed, so that they could get together, is something that I treasure. And of course, being with you guys and knowing you guys is something that is wonderful.
You guys, this is a pre-recorded show. It's technically the 25th show that I've done in 2 months. Marcia isn't scheduling a bear. Oh my God. It is the hardest part about this. It's like everyone's like, oh, you can get them on your show. It's like, yeah, I can. But it's like, it's not easy to coordinate. So, I can't imagine DragonCon.
Well, we had the first year we had 10 Stargate guests. We invented the term mega panel. You'll see, if you want to see some of them, they're up on YouTube. And so we had Donna Davis, Rachel Luttrell, just Jason Momoa, everybody on stage at the same time. And but being able to do that was super fun, because watching people interact, doing this with so many people is tricky, David. I don't know how you do it. So being on stage with that many people is fun, and it's a balancing act. And yeah, you're right. Scheduling is fun. You're doing a great job.
Thank you. I appreciate having you all on. BraZat, you put your hand up a minute ago.
Yes, it was a really small story at the event in UK that Nicole were before. Kalma. Yes, at this time I met Jenny and his team for the first time, and Nicole too, and we were in the night. There is a little party with actors. We drink some stuff. We dance, and we were a small group, 4 or 5 people, including Jenny and Nicole. And I don't remember why, but Nicole was starting to cry a little bit. I think she will be able to.
She's about to now.
I don't remember. Yeah, I don't know why. I just took from my pocket a Kleenex just to give her to sneeze to, because she was. So for first contact, it was fun and wonderful in a way. So it's a great Sonia.
Thank you,
she's
Bray, for
floating.
being there for me. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Anyone else? Yvie?
Me again.
Hello again.
Hello. I just wanted to share, just in case you guys hadn't seen it already, I do a little bit of painting. I'm not any good, but I have a bit of a passion for it.
Doesn't matter. Art is art.
I actually made this jacket for Kalmar last year, and it infuses my two great passions, which is Stargate and Vincent van Gogh. So I'll try and hold it up. I was like, can we see it?
Oh my God. That is so cool.
That's so awesome, Yvie.
I even did like the chevrons, and I tried to do the individual symbols for the.
Can you pull it up again and talk about about more specific parts of it a little bit closer so that we can see a little bit better?
Yeah, I'll try. I have to maybe put it on my head.
Raise it up a little higher. Yeah.
Wow, that is so cool.
Yeah, so I just did it for a bit of fun. But yeah, I did like the individual symbols.
That's hard.
Bit of finger painting, and yeah, it was loads of fun. But yeah, it's just like an old jacket that I got from a secondhand store.
Now the Starry Night Stargate look, that's extremely cool. I've seen the original in New York. It's just one of those. It's like, oh my God, I'm in the presence
I
of
wish
something
I could
holy.
see it. I've seen a photo of my parents' photo, but no, I haven't seen it in real life. I have to just make up my own.
That's great.
Is that the Stargate night? Huh?
Oh, yes, Sonia, I love it.
I'll be here all week.
Mic drop. Guys, one or two of your favorite Stargate episodes. And Sonia, I'm gonna start with you and work my way backwards up the board.
Okay, so
and why?
Mm-hmm. One of my favorite episodes. I mean, it's really hard to come up with two episodes that are like my favorite. Every one of them is my favorite, obviously. But what I really like is Point of No Return from SG1. I like Willie Garson, and his character in that was just so like, I mean, not relatable because I'm not from another planet, but like sci-fi nerds secretly want to be like, you know what? I'm not just interested in outer space. I am from outer space. And like that whole like paranoia thing, like it's like it's real, and like he is from outer space. Like it was just, the episodes I like are like kind of the more comedic ones, and so that had a good level of both comedy but also like a good story. So I love that one. All three, and that's that series. Like there's Point No Return, Wormhole Extreme, and then 200 were the three Willie Garson episodes. They're all good, but Point No Return was kind of like the first one, and I really like that one. Another one that I love is, okay, so I'm a huge SG1 fan, but I actually picked an Atlantis episode. It was Duet, because some of you know.
Yes.
Yeah. Rodney McKay is my favorite character. Like, even though I'm like SG1, like 100% favorite show of all time, Rodney is still my favorite character, just because he's likable and not likable, but you love to hate him sometimes.
And David Hewlett had to walk a line.
Yeah, seriously, and like he was really good at that.
His character evolved over the evolution of his character is just amazing.
Yes,
he did such a great job.
And I feel like that episode has everything that I love about both Rodney and David Hewlett, because he's also like a huge like goof, and I felt like that episode was like the epitome of why I like that character. It's funny. Again, it's a good story. Like every episode is a good story, though. I feel like I'm just gonna like repeat that if I talk about every episode. But so those are my two that I picked.
BraZat, one or two of your favorites.
Yes, it's me. I will let you find. I'm sure you will find in the first time. I will show you something. And David, you will have to find, but it will be very easy.
I do recognize that. I thought is that a replica in the middle?
No, it's original, screen used.
Are you sure?
Yes, I am. Because I know you have one. Yeah, we have both one. You're mute. You're mute.
I like that it was
David?
like right there. You could just go grab it.
Oh, so which is this one then? So if that's,
I think they made one or two. But
oh,
mine
okay.
is, it's
Turn it
inside.
around. So yeah, they're both production made because they're the exact same.
Yeah.
But it won't. I mean,
mine is
they
more
both could've-
shiny. It's more shiny. I don't know. It's more translucent.
yes, it's shiny. Yes,
Yeah.
but yeah,
I know you had one.
it'd be hard to tell which one was technically the screen used one.
No,
at that
it's
point.
quite difficult to know.
So, but you've got the you've definitely got the ring. So that's
Yeah.
cool. All right. So now that we're done comparing sizes, favorite. So would Full Circle be one of your favorites?
Yes, one of the favorites. The fact is, the request to speak about my two favorite episodes is quite really not simple question. I am sure the also feeling of many fans or super fans. There are so many episodes, so many great stories, like I said before. So I not speak about my two favorites. I will not be able to. Let's say really two that I appreciate a lot. Okay. So Full Circle, the last of this season 6, there are quite a lot of elements which led me to choose this episode, and I will not be able to tell you in a specific order, but those points, as you know, I am a big fan of set decoration, work made by the studio's set department. So I just love the decorations inside the pyramid, the Stargate room, the large room in the basement, especially the treasure room. The work of the materials, more specifically the foam or the polystyrene paint to simulate stones. A lot of episodes they made that. It's very impressive, and it's always fascinated me to the just paint job. And it's magic for me just to make a foam and simulate stone, steel, whatever.
Paint. You can make it look like wood. You can make it look like metal.
Anything. It's just amazing
extraordinary.
work. It's talented people that were behind the department. And this episode for me one among others of the most representative sets of the series, because in a way it have a continuity with Roland Emmerich's movie and the pilot episodes, so with Abydos, and the hidden room, for example, for the Ra hidden room with the thriller. It's a clearly wonderful set for me as a prop and fan collector. I'm always amazed about the hundreds of props used on this set, and mostly because all are in the relation with Egyptology. We must not forget that it's on the how to say. We not forget that in this the culture of the series is mainly based on this, and it must have been a quite story to have managed to find in various props houses to collect and set up so many items. And in my part, it was thanks to Stargate that I got interested in mythology. So yeah, quite a lot of elements for me.
Well, thank you for sharing. Yvie Cahill, favorite episodes.
Well, this is a tough one, as many of the others have said, and I didn't want to bore you with my analysis of Window of Opportunity, because I think we all discussed that, we all mentioned that the last time around, and obviously as a fan favorite, you know.
And let's get it out of the way. Window of Opportunity holds a special place in all of our hearts.
Oh, it certainly does.
Sure?
It certainly does. But I was sort of going through all the episodes that I really appreciate, and there's a long list, obviously, and each season has, you know, at least 5 or 6 episodes or more that I really love. But I went back to season 1, and I think it's probably the first episode that I guess really got me hooked, especially on the whole Sam and Jack relationship, and that would be There But For the Grace of God. Yeah, I don't know, I just really love this episode. Obviously there's a couple of little flaws, but I think overall I really like that you're just really in the moment with Daniel. You know, you're confused, obviously, and towards the end, even though a lot of the main characters do end up perishing, and some of them quite terribly, you're not really bothered, because I think the writers have highlighted enough differences between the alternate reality and the, you know, the SG team that we know and love, that you're not really like concerned all that much, because, you know, they're different people.
Well, it still hits you, but you're right. I mean, at the end of the day, ours are still okay.
Oh, but that's not the characters that I love, so it's okay.
Like Teal said, you know, ours is the only reality of consequence.
Yeah,
What a
exactly.
jaded answer. Oh my gosh.
And I just, I just kind of get, you just get caught in that moment at the very end when Daniel's just standing there, just waiting for the gate to dial. He's like, come on, come on. And even though I've seen the episode probably like half a dozen times, my heart still races, just like waiting for that gate to dial. And then obviously that moment where Tilk sort of, I don't know, he hasn't met him before, but Jack mentioned him. And there's like almost like this sort of moment of recognition there. And I think everything that Jack has said has sort of sunk in. And I don't know if it's just me, but I think that he sort of deliberately shoots him in the arm, sort of not fatally wounding him, because he realizes that something important has happened and he needs to play his part. But, you know, I could be mistaken. But yeah, there was just like this split second where he kind of looks at Daniel and he's like, this is the guy that Jack was talking about. And sort of just shoots him in the arm, because obviously Tilk is a very good shot, as we've seen in previous episodes. And he had him at like point blank range, and he decided not to kill him, but only just wound him slightly on the arm. And I actually rewatched the episode yesterday, and I actually kind of had to giggle a little bit when they're trying to defend the mountain. You see Walter with like a shotgun wearing a cardigan. And I was like, that's just perfect. It's like the perfect mix of like fluffy and just lethal. It's just great.
One of the things that my dad said when we were watching that episode, when your base is under attack, it doesn't matter your position. Everyone's an infantryman at that point.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And doesn't matter what you're wearing. Just got to go out there, defend the base.
Thank you for sharing. Mr. Murphy, please share.
Hey, yes, sir. Well, I'll fire off just real quick. You know, even though it's got some nostalgia since it was the first episode I watched, the season 1 SG1 episode Solitudes is still one of my absolute favorites.
I was expecting Yvie to bring that one up, considering the Sam and Jack connection.
Where I thought she was headed, and I was like, "Oh man, do we double dip on this?" Because yeah, I mean, it's got that some very astute moments. You know, it's my sidearm, I swear, etc. But that episode, you know, beyond the fact that it was the first one I got into, you know, I'm kind of I get hooked on you know, survival epics and epics of any kind. You know, but this one was so pivotal to, and especially in early series. I mean, this given his later third of season 1, but you know, the just laying down the fact that the Gould didn't build the Stargate network, that was like a what moment, you know, as far as broader lore. Obviously the second Stargate, or the Beta Gate, you know, being on Earth, and the major ramifications that had all through the series. And
until
then,
we blew it up in season 6.
Right. Yeah. But even before then, that it was the bailout after SG1 had to use the Alpha Gate and Nemesis to to get,
That's
to
true.
to save their own rear end. So, I mean, just obviously major ramifications. Then obviously, just thinking, as a fan watching it over and over again, now it's like you guys were like a few football fields away from, Atlantis, like the outpost, like the weapons platform's right over there, guys. It's right over there, and you don't know it. Like that's pretty freaking cool. But first episode, Martin Wood directed. First time Siler showed up, and I have straight up used that line, that dialogue with him with Hammond, which was a little Star Trekky reference, but the whole deal of it's going to take 24 hours minimum. Hammond, very Kirkish, goes, you have half that, and Siler says, no sir, it doesn't work that way. 24 hours is the best I can do. I have literally said, no sir, it doesn't work that way to my management at work. Like,
and how did they react to that?
It varies. I'm sure it's hurt my performance review with more than once, but that's just the fact of it. But I can't help myself. I mean, if I could legitimately quote sci-fi in real life, I'm gonna do it.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so that one is just a killer episode, and it had moments of every character really expanding their horizons, really developing, and epic episodes like that, in my opinion, really give the actors a chance to really flex. And on that note, that gets to my second, which is honestly my favorite episode of the entire franchise, and that's the Stargate Universe Season 2 premiere intervention. And we've talked about that before. That episode is a tour de force for Elena Huffman. And it is really cool, especially for SG-1 or the Stargate franchise. And I'll say just period, unfortunately for cinema and American cinema, to let a female character, and as far as definitely an ensemble cast, have a moment, not just a moment, an episode like that. I mean, you can talk about the Lucian Alliance and the fighting for Destiny and Rush, playing the bluff card on the Pulsar, hiding in the hydroponics bay and all that. But that episode was Elena Huffman. I mean, that was her deal.
She could have led that show, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, and that's
TJ was.
You're absolutely right, and that really just speaks to how powerful that whole cast was in general. I mean, and through season 2, where Universe really got its traction. And that episode really, I think, set the theme. It was, when she was talking to Kane and her, was it a vision? Was it not? Kind of deal. He has a line that has stuck with me. He said, on the edge of the universe, who you are and what you believe means everything. And I think that was the thesis for the entire season, where they had those episodes where every single character got to develop in a serious way, to where they transitioned from, as Young called it, being the wrong people in the wrong place, to being the right people and where they were meant to be. But that episode set that off. Just the montage to Mumford and Sons at the end was just, I mean, I've watched it 1,000 times. If I've watched it once, it's just absolutely glorious. But,
for the detractors out there of Stargate Universe, if you take that season as chapter 2 of 5, which really, in many respects, the end of a 3-act play, it's got it.
It's killer. I mean, just absolutely killer. And it really, for me, again, the character development, the real progress. And I know a lot of people kind of got disillusioned because, with the show, because a lot of the characters were flat out not likable, but seeing the advancement, they didn't come out of the woodwork with 5 degrees, speaking 23 languages, in their spare time. They invented a longer lasting light bulb. I mean, these are flawed people, and I'm a flawed person, and to have the opportunity to see them get over their flaws, like true real issues, and expand and grow, for me, it was real moving. And that was, and that episode really kicks it off. And man, I love it.
It's interesting because I always look at Sam. I love Sam, but at the same time, they kind of in many respects, she was kind of perfect, but the thing was, she wasn't perfect.
Right.
She also had vulnerability and all this other stuff, but it wasn't until later that they were like, you know what, let's show these sides of her personality as well. That's what we start to see in episodes like Singularity, with Cassandra. Now, those things had to come out later.
Yeah.
Whereas with SGU, they started pretty raw on all of them from the beginning and worked their way into, like you say, the people that they were meant to be for this mission.
Right. Yeah. I think you're absolutely right. And you can argue, McKay was a good example of some strong development, and starting as a guest star in SG1, but really developing in Atlantis, and Ronan Dex, that would be another character that comes to mind as having some real development. But even beyond, Carter, Jackson is just this wunderkind, and O'Neill special ops ninja, same thing with Shepard. Although he did have a bit of a blight, with his background, which they go into in Vegas, which is yet another episode people aren't necessarily a big fan of. But yeah, I just love seeing that, just good character development, and intervention really went there for me.
I appreciate your nuance. Nicole Rodriguez Galdo, your thoughts on some of your favorite shows?
Hello. Well, I just wanted to say thank you, William, for pointing out some great things about Stargate Universe. People don't appreciate it enough, so thank you so much for coming in and doing that. I'm not going to talk about Universe, but I just thought I'd say thanks, appreciate you. But I'm going to move on to SG1 now because let's face it, it is the favorite. I have a lot of favorite episodes, and it does kind of shift throughout how I'm feeling and how old I am. Obviously, we're not going to talk about Window Opportunity, but get that out of there. I really love specifically, I think there's one in season 1 which is Torment of Tantalus, because similar reasons that William mentioned earlier, which is that it was kind of the setup for so many things later on, talking about the the universal language, and having Ernest stuck in this on this other planet for so long and still holding out some hope. And it's just the character was great, the story was phenomenal. Daniel's constant striving to learn and get new information about their creation and where they came from is beautiful. And I just really loved the way that kind of set up the alien races that we later discover as time goes on, or not. Paul Furlings, hey Sommer. Yeah, I love that one. I thought that was phenomenal. But I'm going to go completely left field and do something crazy, which is my current favorite is Prometheus Unbound, which is a different one because it only includes one official member of SG1 for all of it, Richard Nanson's in the beginning. I really love that episode because it's a side of Daniel that you don't really get to see. I'm going to call it the Jack side of Daniel, or the Michael Shanks side of Daniel, the more kind of honest, kind of more brutal character. He's not being the sweet, sincere kind of person. He's being like, hey, look, okay, let's get our stuff together, let's do this, you're annoying me, stop it. And I think that Claudia Black was such a brilliant addition to the team. When I was a kid and I watched that, I was like, this woman's amazing, she's hilarious, I love her, I need her to come back. When she did, I was like, oh my god, best thing ever to happen to the show. We're so lucky that the show became Fargate SG1. I don't care, Farscape's great. So yeah, but I also love the fact that Don S. Davis got to come in and do a bit of action and got to be his own hero, not sending SG1 to save the day, he's saving the day. And then having Walter piloting the ship, having Novak introduced before she appeared in Atlantis.
I was going to say, yes, great first episode of 2 episodes or 3 at that point. Yeah, brilliant.
It was a brilliant moment. I was sitting there like, damn, you're a hilarious lady. Where are those hiccups at, And I'm really glad that they kind of Stargate is really genuine, and they always remember their characters, even the ones that don't appear too often. So when they start popping up in other places, I'm like, yes, let's go, And yeah, but Claudia Black and Michael Shanks have the best chemistry I've seen in a while. I'm obviously Sam and Jack for life, but they had so many moments, and it was such a unique relationship to see on the show, where it was so dysfunctional and it was either romantic or friendly or both, and it was a weird mix. And I just thought that the relationship that came after that was such a different, I hadn't seen it in Stargate before or ever, and it was just so chaotic but beautiful. And I thought the evolution from that first meeting and all that weird tension and then all the callbacks to in Avalon when she's like, isn't that where and he's like, no. And she's like, and then there's more comments later on about where he's like, yeah, this is a military vessel. And she's like, yes, I know, darling, I've stolen it before. And I'm like, yes, it's the comedy. It's so well done. And for an episode that stuck just inside the ship and didn't go anywhere, it did a great job on a lower budget. And I just thought, this is when the writers do some really amazing work, when they're given only a set to work on and then just one additional actor, and they just make magic happen with limitations. And I just thought Claudia Black's the best. Michael Shanks and her have amazing chemistry. John S. Davis rocks. Novak's cool. Love it. 10 out of 10.
I think pretty much all of us would agree that the attention to internal mythology that the writers paid was really one of the reasons why we kept on coming back, because we were rewarded for past viewings in future content.
Exactly.
And people who
That's
were
why.
coming in could understand it and appreciate it, but for the rest of it, that's for us. Like 200 is all for us.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure.
So
yeah.
you brought up Torment of Tantalus, and I wanted
Yes.
to share, because that was my favorite for a really long time, because it's the start of Stargate's core mythology, Stargate SG-1's core mythology. Thank God to Robert Cooper.
Oh my God, it's the castle. Oh my
Yeah.
God.
So
is
this
that
is-
an original drawing?
This is the original. This is the castle from Torment of Tantalus, and
Wow.
yeah, this is one of my preciouses. But yeah, it's the amount of detail. I don't know if it was Ken Rebel or one of the others earlier on, but yeah, I love this thing, obviously. And then
I'm so jealous.
Yeah, all arts, like David shows, are always piece of art. The drawings are always just
exquisite
details. I had the pleasure to have a lot of them in my hands. It's always an art, just beautiful pieces.
Yeah, for sure.
And then
That's not his book, is it? His notes.
these are
Why are you like this?
because I am.
Beautiful.
So these are three of Ernest's calendar pages. So
Catherine agrees.
Catherine agrees. That's exactly right. So yeah.
Wow. I want to cry. I'm so jealous.
Marcia Middleton. Hello. Some of your favorite Stargate episodes, please.
Okay. Well, I chose the first one is The Serpent's Lair. And because when you're watching a show and you like it for the first season, going into the second season is really important, because that's like the sophomore death knell. If you don't come out strong and bring an audience with you, then it can tank. Well, we all know the season ender was fantastic, and then we waited for the opener, and I love this episode because it has some major, what I call badassery in it, because we have, of course, Peter Williams, who, his just a shift of his eyebrows just shows evilness and his power. And we see Alexis Cruz's Chlorel and the fight he does with the inside of with his double character. And we also see BraZat. We see BraZat come in, and Jack has to have a back seat. He's not the leader in the heroicness of this episode. He has to pull back in order to save the Earth. And so I think their interchange is funny, and also telling for what happens later on in the series. That collaboration, that cooperation is going to be what saves worlds from invasion and on. And also, I love General Hammond and how he is back on Earth and directing the best and the brightest to the Alpha world. And yet he tells Samuels, Samuels, he wants to go. He says, no, you're going to stay here with me and get fried by whatever happens. You're going to stay here. So there you go. And I love the strength of General Hammond. And it was no nonsense. He didn't throw a fit. It was like, that's it. And it's done. So, and I love also the jokes about the ships when they're asking, well, you have ships, don't you?
Shuttles.
Yeah. And they're like, yeah, we have, I'm thinking tugboats and that's a
These shuttles. They are
Right.
formidable. They are a formidable craft. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And so I start to see that whole gelling of the interplay and the working together of the different characters. And I would have liked to have seen what the new home world looked like. I wish they had shown us a little glimpse of what
Season
they had.
6.
Yeah.
Season
set up
6 in
Yes.
Allegiance. That's as far as we know, that's the same alpha site.
Yeah. Okay.
So there you go.
So that's my first episode is the getting into the sophomore season and taking us on from there. And then my second one I've talked about before, and it's kind of different. It's show and tell. And as I think Yvie might have said, as you grow and live and things happen to you, your choice of episodes and what episodes mean changes. And show and tell is about, as we know, little boy who comes through and he's, they don't really know who he is. And does he have a bomb inside or what is he doing here? And he keeps talking about mother. And we're like, mother, I don't see anything. Poor little kid is delusional, And then when we find out what mother is, it was a huge shock. And I thought that was fun to do in that episode. And the way that they brought in the technology where you could only see with the special gun, I forget what it's called, but you could only see then. But I really like the interplay between Jack and Charlie. I thought the actor that played Charlie was really, really good. And it's difficult to play off of something that you can't see and make people believe that you are feeling that and talking to that for a young person. And I thought he did really well. And of course, most of you know that personally, my son passed away this summer, suddenly in July. And so the word mother takes on a different meaning. And some of you also don't know that my daughter passed away a few years before that. So mother this year is something entirely different. There won't be somebody calling me mother right now, but when I look at this episode, I can feel even more of what a relationship like that means, even for somebody who is an alien. And I just wanted to share with you, I do fan events at a Stargate panel that we had a few years ago. We did crafting of badges. We did so. This badge here, I don't know if you can see. This is badge. Wow. This is the badge my son made, and I saw this on his refrigerator. I said, "Let me just have this with me when I talk to." It's not anything fantastic, but it's something that people had fun making together, and so this is isn't it cute?
I think it's fantastic.
But so anyway, so show and tell is my next episode.
Thank you for sharing yourself with us. Nicole Seisel, your favorites.
One of my favorites is Avalon. It's probably not the first choice of many. For me, it felt like a new beginning. You have this new, sort of team. I mean, of course, Carter and Daniel and Tiag are still there, but it still feels like a completely new team, and the dynamics and the chemistry shifts. And for me, I like the Ori arc because it's so different from the Goa'uld story. And so for me, Avalon is one of my favorites because it has again this adventure. This Mitchell at some point says something like, "We have to get out and explore things, and there's so much more to discover," sort of. And I mean, it's true. It feels like it's going to another level. They discover more about the ancients, and So I think there's so many mysteries left that can be explored. So I really like this one. And the other one I really like is Brotherhood from Atlantis. Because it's also that kind of adventure and sort of mystery and exploring the galaxy, and that's what I really like about Stargate, because you go out and explore those planets and meet new people and cultures and learn so much. And yeah, Brotherhood has all this, and also the Jedi are, I think, really great enemies. And yeah.
They're a good wild card. That's what they kept on using around the office. They wanted a race that, you know, wasn't just black or white, that had a lot of gray in them. It's like, depending on the situation, they could help you or they could turn on you real quick.
Yeah.
Thank you for
Hey,
sharing. Yeah, go ahead, Sonia.
Something? So from what Nicole said, that's one thing that I really love about Stargate. It was kind of like almost like Star Trek-esque, where every episode it was like explore new life, new civilizations, and that was what. I mean, I think a lot of people probably agree, but that was one of the really cool things about the show. Just want to add that.
Absolutely.
Well, can I jump in with a
yes?
with just
of course, go ahead.
with the Stargate Star Trek episode? One of the other ones I was going to talk about is Brief Candle, and it's so Star Trekky that it's funny. But I love the growing older and you don't know why and you have to figure out before the show is over, and that's just Star Trek. So that's it.
Well, Stargate clearly had a lot of its influence from Star Trek, and most of it was very positive. So, Joseph Malazzi, we just had him on a couple of weeks ago for his second episode, and he made the comment, that, and neither of us combined could figure out who it was who said it. That pretty much all the stories have been told. There's only a certain number of stories that are out there in terms of like the raw mechanics when you break them down, but it's what you do with your characters that makes it interesting. So, Sommer Roy, last but not least, some of your favorites, Sommer.
I think my favorites are a little abstract. It's not what somebody would normally choose. My first favorite is the first ones with Shaka. And the reason why it's my favorite is because, I'm a little person. I'm 3'7". I have a lot of medical issues. And so I'm in and out of hospitals a lot. And my father actually had a surgery, and I was used to my father being beside me, but having to be beside my father was tough, So for the first time, I got to experience the other side because he had a surgery to remove throat cancer. And I was quite distraught, and my husband was back home and I was in a different city. And I went back to the hotel and everything was kind of looking a little bleak. And I turned on the TV and there was Stargate. I didn't, it was just there, and it was the first ones. And I had never seen that episode before. So there I was in my little hotel room, watching Daniel interact with Shaka. And it just came into my life at a time where I really needed something that was comforting. And just to have it there, I mean, I can't even explain it. It feels like family to me. It feels like home. It feels comforting. So it really just gave me a lot of comfort in that time. And so and everything turned out really well with my dad. And also I had shared that with my dad growing up, Stargate. So it, had that double meaning as well. And so that's one of my favorites. And plus, I mean, even just the show, aside from the meaning of it, is a great show where they discover the Unis and they actually learn to communicate. And they wanted Daniel to stay at the end, as a matter of fact, or Shaka did. And I love that they bring his character back later on and kind of develop that. And it was really nice to see that. And so that's my first one. And my second one is kind of odd as well. It's The Other Guys, with Patrick McKenna and John Billingsley. And I just really, I don't know, it's I like it for a lot of reasons. One, it shows a lot of creativity with the writers. I mean, it was out of the norm, and it really shows where they could go with stories. You know, they didn't just stick to one thing. They could go out of the box and still make it work. And Patrick McKenna, I really love him. I had seen him before in a show in Canada called The Red Green Show, where he played this nerd, and he kind of had the same, personality here on Stargate. And I also really love the fact that you took, like, Patrick McKenna or Felger in the show. He was, they brought him back later too, but he was a really big fan of the team. It felt like me, like a Stargate fan watching it. And then all of a sudden, hey, you get pushed into that situation, and now you are in the show. You are a part of that team that you've been idolizing forever. And so, and of course, Coombs and Felger, their back and forth was absolutely hilarious. And Jack's reaction to the whole situation was great. He brought Coombs with you. Oh, now I'm comforted.
We're on a mission, you nit.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. So I just really, I really love that, because it felt like they were putting a fan inside the show. So it just really, it struck that nerve with me that I really enjoyed seeing that interaction. And going back to my first episode, the first ones, and you had mentioned earlier where I made some thank you keychains to give out, and that really came from my heart, because this show has been there for me in many different ways that I'll discuss with you at some point later. But it in all aspects of my life, and Will was talking about quoting the show. We do that all the time. He'll ask me, my husband, when's dinner ready? And I'll say, the candle, when the candlelight is fired, so I'll use those terms, or I'll say my Fran is hurting, or my co-stars are hurting, and everything is Cruvis with me. We do it all the time, and it's integrated into our life, on a daily. And anytime I see blue Jello, I mean, it's like I have to have it, because it's blue Jello. It's such a huge part. I mean, in anything that's a circle is a Stargate in my life. We got a new dryer last month, or it's a circle, and it lights up blue on the inside. And so I'm like, yeah, exactly. So yes, it's everything about it. It's just integrated into our lives, and so that's my 2 episodes.
Sommer, you are one of the strongest people I know.
Oh,
and
thank
Stargate
you.
has gotten you through, some of the harder parts of your life. Gary Jones will be asking Sommer some more specific questions about her journey in a new fan show that he's doing for Dial the Gate. So we're saving one specific one for him. So
yeah,
thank you. Guys, this has been absolutely tremendous. Thank you so much for stopping by. You are my extended Stargate family, and it is so wonderful to have you finally as part of the show. I wanted to give it a couple of months for us to ramp up kind of our audience a little bit before bringing you in, and it is just tremendous to have you all have you all here with us. So
I appreciate any opportunity to see everyone and talk, and you're a delight, sir. Thank you as always.
Very
Thank
much
you,
so.
sir.
Yeah.
It was
I
Thank
love
you,
you,
pleasure,
David.
really.
for all you do.
Yeah, I miss everybody.
Yes,
You know-
we do. I
well-
can't. I really want to get together again at some point.
Well, I mean, I think we can consider that as read, that when this whole thing is over and the clouds, finally part on us, whether it's next year or whenever it's going to be, that there will be conventions again, and we will all be getting together again.
One
So,
of my last ones I saw Sommer at.
Yes, it was in
February.
Austin, where I live in near Austin, and I got to visit with Sonia. So it was such a great thing to be able to do that. But I miss everybody, but we just all click, really well together.
Yeah.
And so we actually try to stay in contact over Zoom every 2 to 3 weeks. We have a Zoom session, and since we're all over the world, it's kind of hard with timing, because it's late for some people and really, really early for others. But we try to make it work, because it's just nice to get together and chat and, say
No,
hi.
I wanted to say one thing about that. I just want to say that, Sommer, you're the strongest person I've ever met. I love you. You're wonderful. I just want to say that when I first saw the video and I saw you guys and we all came together in that chat, it was like I finally found my Stargate family, because I didn't really have one. I felt very isolated as a fan. And then going to LA and actually having a good time with you guys and quote unquote partying with you guys, just chilling and eating and being able to talk. You're all awesome. Yvie, I love you. But I love everyone. Yvie, I love you. But it's just, you're also talented and unique in your own ways. And I just appreciate each and every one of you for your own special reasons. And David, thank you so much for doing this.
Yes.
You're welcome. This is a great group of humans. You won't find better, in my opinion. Creative and intelligent and nuanced. It delights me to no end that you've all elected to stick together. We are missing a couple, Noah and Taylor. Shout out to them. But yeah, it's terrific that you guys have continued to remain a very very tremendous family. So, community is all what Stargate's about. When you go to these conventions, it's the show is very tangential almost to what the experience is when people get together, and what people when people get the chance to get together. And if you have a chance to go to GateCon when we're through this or one of the other events, please do it. GateCon is always closest to my heart. If you get a chance, go. But yeah, it's a delight.
That's the plan.
I have my ticket. I'm just waiting.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we have our tickets.
Well, I know that they want to do another one. I know that they want to make that the last one up. So this is gonna be tremendous, guys. Thank you so much. This meant the world to me.
Thank you, David.
Thank you.
Thanks to the Superfans for coming on and making this episode possible. They're a tremendous part of my Stargate life, and it's just fantastic that I get to share them with you guys. So thank you so much. Before I let you go, Dial the Gate has partnered with 3D Tech Pro for the month of December to give you a chance to get your very own desktop Stargate and customized ancient keychain. To enter to win these items, you need a desktop or a laptop computer, and you need to visit dialthegate.com. Scroll down to submit trivia questions. Your trivia may be used in a future episode of Dial the Gate, either for our monthly trivia night or for a special guest to ask me in a round of trivia. There are 3 slots for trivia, 1 easy, 1 medium, and 1 hard. Only 1 needs to be filled in, but you're more than welcome to submit up to 3. Please note the submission form does not currently work for mobile devices. Your trivia must be received before January 1, 2021. If you're the lucky winner, I will be notifying you via your email right after the start of the new year to get your address and what word you want for your ancient keychain. Be sure to check out our partner's website for more Stargate-related merchandise at 3dtech.pro. I also have some related Stargate art. So we brought up the Jack and Sam shipping. I don't usually favor one shipping group over the other, but Jack and Sam has definitely been in discussion today, so I thought this was very appropriate. Flidget Jerome created a very Stargate wedding. It's that time of year again, my mama's birthday, Flidget Jerome says. So of course it's time for more chibis. She asked for Jack and Sam wedding chibis this year, so here they are. Very nice birthday present for Flidget Jerome's mama. Thank you guys so much for joining us. If you enjoyed the show, please consider clicking that like button. It helps with the visibility of the program, and consider subscribing as well if you haven't subscribed yet. My thanks again to the Stargate Superfans for being such a tremendous part of the Stargate community and in my life as well. And guys, I appreciate you, the audience, for continuing to tune in. We'll have some more episodes for you really soon. See you on the other side.